In the dry heat of the Nile Valley, more than 3,400 years ago, a child was born into a royal dynasty that would reshape the ancient world. His name was Thutmose, grandson of a warrior king, son of a revered pharaoh. No one knew it then, but this boy would become the greatest military commander the ancient world had ever seen. He would rule Egypt for more than 50 years. He would lead 17 recorded military campaigns. Thutmose III never lost a single battle. When Thutmose was still a child, his father, Thutmose II, died suddenly. By birthright, the boy became king, Pharaoh of Egypt. But there was a problem. He was too young to rule. Power shifted into the hands of someone else, someone who would shape his life in ways no one could have predicted. Her name was Hatshepsut, Thutmose's stepmother, aunt, and co-ruler. Instead of preparing the boy to rule, Hatshepsut took full control as pharaoh. She dressed in royal regalia, wore the false beard reserved for kings, and had the priests record her as God's chosen ruler. For 20 years, Thutmose III remained king in name only, a young man in the shadow of a powerful queen. During this time, Thutmose was not idle. He trained in the military academies of Egypt. He learned to ride chariots, command troops, read battlefield terrain, and calculate the movement of armies across deserts. While Hatshepsut ruled the palace, Thutmose learned to rule the battlefield. Then, around 1458 BCE, Hatshepsut died. For the first time, Thutmose III ruled alone. Almost immediately, the world discovered what kind of king he truly was. Egypt's empire had weakened. Vassal states in Canaan and Syria sensed an opportunity to break free from Egyptian control. One leader, the king of Kadesh, began forming a coalition of rebels. They united at a strategic and heavily fortified city, Megiddo. If they succeeded, Egypt would lose its territories, its trade routes, and its power. Thutmose III responded not with hesitation, but with speed. He mobilized an army estimated at 20,000 men, chariots, infantry, archers, and supply carriers. But what came next would define him forever. His generals advised him to take the long, safe routes to Megiddo. The middle route was wide and flat, perfect for chariots. The coastal route allowed ships to resupply the soldiers, but Thutmose chose the narrowest, most dangerous route, the pass through the Aruna Valley. It was so tight that soldiers could walk only in a single line. If enemy forces blocked it at any point, the entire Egyptian army would be trapped and slaughtered. His generals warned him the decision was reckless. Thutmose III answered with confidence recorded by his scribes, "He who goes before his army is the one who conquers." It was the ancient equivalent of saying great victories require great risks. He pushed his entire army through the narrow ravine. The enemy, convinced no one would dare try such a route, had left it unguarded. When the Egyptians emerged on the other side, they were on high ground, directly overlooking the coalition forces in the valley below. Thutmose had outmaneuvered them. At dawn, he attacked. The Battle of Megiddo was brutal. Chariots crashed, soldiers clashed in hand-to-hand combat, shields splintered under the force of bronze swords. But Thutmose's strategy was flawless. He drove his chariot into the thick of battle, leading from the front, a true warrior king. The coalition panicked. Their soldiers fled back inside the walls of Megiddo. They were so terrified that they pulled up the city gates before their own troops had time to get inside. According to Egyptian records, some soldiers had to be hauled up by ropes to escape. Thutmose ordered the city to be surrounded. He built a wall around Megiddo, a siege that lasted 7 months. When the city finally surrendered, he didn't destroy it. Instead, he stabilized the region, took hostages from noble families, and established political control. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a strategist. The victory at Megiddo was not just a win, it marked the birth of the Egyptian empire. From there, Thutmose III did what no Egyptian pharaoh before him had done. He pushed beyond Egypt's borders, far beyond. He marched north into Syria, crossed the Euphrates, and confronted the powerful kingdom of Mitanni. He crossed the river on boats made by his troops, assembled on the march. It was the first time an Egyptian army had ever reached that far. In less than 20 years, Thutmose III conquered territories stretching from the deep south of Nubia to the northern borders of Mesopotamia, an empire the size of the eastern United States. His strategies became legendary. He used intelligence networks, sending scouts ahead to record terrain and troop movements. He perfected logistics, establishing depots of food, water, and weapons along supply lines. He introduced complex battlefield formations, like dividing chariot units to strike from multiple angles. And he understood something few leaders ever grasp. Winning battles is not the same as winning empires. Instead of destroying conquered cities, he took what mattered: their leaders' loyalty and their wealth. Gold, livestock, luxury goods, and exotic plants all flowed to Egypt. In fact, Thutmose established the very first botanical garden in history, filled with plants collected from his campaigns. By the end of his reign, Egypt was richer, stronger, and more powerful than ever. For his achievements, historians today call him the Napoleon of ancient Egypt. But that isn't accurate. Napoleon lost, Thutmose didn't. After 54 years on the throne, over half a century of rule, Thutmose III died peacefully in his late 50s. He was buried in the Valley of the Kings, among the most elite rulers of Egypt. Yet, most of the world has forgotten his name. History remembers Alexander, Caesar, and Napoleon, but long before any of them walked the earth, a young pharaoh had already mastered the art of empire. Thutmose III, the undefeated king, the first great conqueror, the boy who became the world's first military genius.